Good Monday afternoon, everybody. This is take two. I did this once already and the wind was blowing. I had a microphone and just nothing but wind noise. So hopefully this will come across. So this is the story of what happened with the animal control and the lie that was told about us and our animals. 11 days ago Thursday, the animal control guy stood there and said, "Oh, I received a complaint that you got 30 neglected cats here." And Tracy and I just looked at each other like, what the hell is he talking about? And first thing I thought of was, well, some of you are aware of Mr. Shadow having a limp. Well, I said, if somebody saw Mr. Shadow limping across the yard, yeah, I could see that they would think that, but he's been to Doc Poles twice. In fact, he's going back again on Friday. Took us forever to get an appointment over there anymore, but we're lucky we can't even get in there. They don't accept new patients anymore. So he stood there and told us this and that, and my mind just went numb, guys. I just like kind of, maybe it's just getting old or whatever, I just stressed right out instantly. I don't honestly hardly remember anything else I said to him from that point on. And whatever I may have said, I'm going to deny, like some people testified in Capitol last year. I don't recall. That's a pretty popular phrase to use. I don't recall. So anyways, we talked a little bit, and then he proceeds to tell us that the county, back in 2019, passed a new ordinance that you were only allowed to have 3 animals. It used to be 3 dogs. We had 4 here, so I said, well, that's a problem, but, you know, we can get Gizmo licensed in Carl's name if it comes down to it. We can get around that easy enough. And then he asked me if they were vaccinated, had been vaccinated. I'm like, well, sure, they've been vaccinated. He didn't ask if they were current on their vaccinations, but, so that's the other part. They're going back Friday to get their vaccinations. And of course, if you can hear that, that's Tracy calling, but she's going to have to wait. So anyways, he leaves. We talked to him for a little bit, and he said, I'm not going to do anything today. He saw our Sassy cat, and he saw Shelby, and I think he saw one of the black cats, and Sassy come through the gate, and Tracy said, oh, that's our senior cat. She's almost 14. And he's like, well, she looks good for 14. So he could see there was no neglect. Well, you can see right up there, that's the a-hole house who called. I'll show you from inside the house a little bit better. And he ended up admitting to us that he's the one that, he didn't call, he got someone else to call, and I explain that here in a little bit. But, so, that's that. And then Friday morning, I'm sitting in the house, and I hear a pistol shot, quite loud. It was definitely, 38 like, whatever. It was quite loud. You can tell where it's coming from. I heard where it was coming from. He was here at the time. He heard it. He heard all 3. In fact, he logged, it was 9 a.m. when the shot went off. And he heard it next door. He only heard 1. There was a total of 3. 1 was really loud. The other 2 were quieter. So I think the second 2 were an air rifle of some sort. And following this right here, I'll show you what I recorded him doing up there on his deck. And I could call the animal control guy back after I heard those 3 shots and left a message, and he ended up calling me back in a little while, and he proceeded to tell me that no, he cannot shoot animals on his property, as we're in what would be considered a residential. There's other houses around, basically. No, he can't do that. Call the sheriff's department, report it. Well, I called the sheriff's department, report it, and you can believe what this dispatcher told me. She said, well, if they're on his property, he can shoot them. I said, ma'am, you're wrong. I was just told by your animal control officer, no, he cannot. He can't even shoot a possum or a raccoon. I want somebody to come out. I want to report this. So she said, we have a DNR officer we can send your way. So 5 freaking hours later, the DNR guy finally shows up. And talking to him for a while and explaining to him about Mr. Raven, the gunshot you guys heard that I recorded one night. I didn't think anything of it that night, but I knew it was close. I knew it was loud. We have rifle hunting season for deer here, and there's never a shot that close and that loud, even with rifles. So I know it was him shooting Raven. I'm positive of that. We just can't prove it. Basically, the only way we can prove he killed one of our animals is actually film him doing it, or see the animal in his yard and have him admit to doing it. So that's going to be a hard one to prove. But so the DNR guy and I chatted. He was really nice about everything, and he agreed, yeah, I believe he's shooting animals too. And I said, well, does that also apply to raccoons and possums, that he can't shoot them either? He goes, no, not if they're in his yard, not with these houses around. So that is an ill-informed dispatcher. So she's giving out information, especially to an a-hole like him. Oh yeah, it's okay to shoot him if you're on your property. He will pay for it if he does it again and we catch him. No question about it. Alright guys, so when I heard that 3 shots, I grabbed this camera that I'm using. I ran outside. I ran around Art's house on the other side to see if he was standing there or if there was a dead cat or whatever. And when I got over there and hit record button, this camera didn't have a freaking card in it. Damn. So luckily, I had this camera sitting right here where I've been filming the birds, and you can see right up onto his deck. And he was sitting in that frickin' chair right under that window. And I only had to film him for about 20 seconds and he got up. And as you'll see in the video, you can see the gun strapped on his hip. Well, what the hell do you need to walk around in this very rural area with a gun on your hip unless you're a pussy or a coward? Sorry. But anyways, that dispatcher was dead wrong, so she's giving out bad information, telling people it's okay to shoot animals on their property. I just had a dog come through here right now that I believe belongs. His kids or somebody have a dog too. I don't really know what it looked like, but it looked like that dog, or it's a neighbor's dog. But either way, so you're telling me, oh, that dog was just in my yard, so I could have shot it if I wanted to? Yeah, right. You know, I'm not going to shoot a dog. I'm not going to shoot a cat. I'm not going to shoot any animal. But anyways, let's continue with the story in the other room. Alright, let's continue the story. Alright, let's continue the story. I hope I'm getting this out so it makes sense. I'm going to have a cigarette because talking about this makes me a nervous wreck. So from that day on, from that day that he shot, when I called that animal control officer, I said, I think he's doing it to intimidate me or taking pot shots at my animals, whatever. But that's how I felt. It was like, shit, do I want to even go outside? Well then, thank you, Lou. I hope that's how you pronounce your name. But she was kind enough to look up the Michigan laws on guns and stuff, and what he did is considered reckless discharge of a firearm, period, end of story. My brother-in-law was a cop for over 30 years, and he's like, no, that's illegal. What he did is illegal, absolutely. So why are they not pursuing him for A, making a false report, because both things he reported about our animals were false, and shooting a gun, yet nothing's being done to him so far. That may change. So after that, I spent 10 days in hell, guys. I couldn't sleep at night. I'd sleep 4 hours, wake up at 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And that's all I could think about is what was going to happen that day. Every day last week I sat here hiding in the house, paralyzed by fear that the next car I heard coming down the road or the next car door I heard slam was going to be the animal control guy coming back with bad news, or he also had said that it would be turned over to zoning because it was a zoning issue. You're only allowed to have 3 animals if you have an acre or less. Well, how much frickin' land do you need if you got 10 kids? You think you might need to have 10 acres, an acre per kid. Kids are gonna roam more than my cats do, that's for damn sure. So anyways, finally had just enough. I was physically sick. Tracy's been a wreck. That's why we haven't done any videos, haven't done any fires, just didn't have any motivation to do anything. I got fed up. I said, I can't do this no more. So what I'm gonna do, when they show up, if they show up, I got my trail camera with sound sitting out here, pointed right where they're gonna stand and talk to me. I have a microphone in this window over here that's gonna record the conversation, and I'm gonna walk out with this freaking camera in my hand and ask them a few questions. Specifically, this really blew my mind, guys, by the way. We have a friend, Monica, that helped us fix, the clinic she runs has fixed all our cats plus the ones we TNR, trapped, neutered, released, or returned back in town there. And I called her and asked her about all this, and she said, what 3 animal rule? I said, well, in 2019, they passed a new ordinance. You're only allowed to have 3 animals. She goes, well, that's news to me. She runs a freaking cattle dog rescue and a cat clinic and a cat adoption agency, more or less. So how are we supposed to know if a rescue doesn't know? So anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to film them. I can't think of everything I'm going to say. I've thought of a few good things like how much land do you need to have 10 children or 5 children or whatever. How could a rescue not know the stupid ordinance you passed? And I'm just going to ask them if they've ever been internet shamed, and I'm going to ask you guys to help. I will give you his name. I will give you whoever shows up with him their name. I will give you the sheriff's office number. I will give you the court's number if we ever get that far. If it doesn't come to anything with the county, then I'm going to turn my attention on to making his life miserable. Not going to do anything illegal, but he already knows, we know, by the way. That's the part I forgot. When that ordinance guy was standing there, animal control guy, he kept looking up there, looking up there, looking up there, looking up there, and I'm like, well, you're making it quite obvious who frickin' called on us. You can't stop looking up there. And I have a feeling they were probably standing on their deck up there watching. I didn't think to look, but he just kept turning his head, turning his head, turning his head. I mean, he made it obvious. Well, he ended up admitting to me that he had someone else call, and I know why he had someone else call. If you call the county here about cats, they'll tell you you can't do anything, or the county can't do anything for feral cats. But if you got healthy, fixed, pets, we'll come after you for that if you got too many of them, right? I currently know a woman, she told me this the other day, that she's in tears every day because she has so many cats around her house that are just breeding and spitting out kittens, and she can't get a bit of help for those kittens or cats. And she said, I cry about it every day. I said, well, hey, why don't you just have one of your neighbors call and say they're neglected? She goes, I don't want those assholes anywhere around my house. That's how much she doesn't want the county around her, too, and I don't blame her one bit. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the power of the internet. I was thinking I would have to give up my last name and pretty much our location, but you know what? To fight for my animals, I will. I would make a video or a community post, give you my name, tell you, send me a friend request on Facebook. I would then give you the information required. I don't want to jeopardize my YouTube by putting that kind of information out, but I don't give a shit if I lose my Facebook account. What's done is done. It'll be done anyway. So, and then I may even go as far as give you his name up there if he continues to harass us. The internet's a powerful thing. It's a hell of a good drug. So we'll see how it goes, guys, but that's why we haven't been doing anything. But I feel a lot more empowered now. My neighbor's willing to come over if they show up, and we'll keep you posted on the situation. I know this was probably boring, but I felt kind of I owed you guys an update because all you ever got was a little bit of information on a community post here and there. That's where we're at. Thanks for watching.